Hi, this is Noah, the Freelance Painter, and today's video is going to be about an important but little known paint measurement tool called the mill gauge or wet film thickness gauge. Now, I'll give you a brief demonstration in the next clip, but first I just want to explain why this is important. Paint is chemistry. Manufacturers create specific paints for specific purposes with specific ingredients at specific ratios. And all they ask of you is that you apply it at a certain thickness, at a certain coverage rate for optimal performance and look. So too thin, the paint might not bond or coalesce or protect well. Too thick, it's a liability. It could flake or crack off or drip if it's on a vertical surface. So the manufacturer recommends a sweet spot that you can measure with the mill gauge. And next I will zoom in and show you exactly how to use it. Okay, so we are zoomed in a little more, and I can really show you how this thing works. I'll start with a brief demonstration without any paint. So, real quick, you can see that look under 35. The tab there is closer to the wood than the tab under 80. So that is how this is measured. Those tabs represent the mill thickness. The difference between the tab and the substrate represents the mill thickness. Real quick, if you're wondering why the blue adhesive on it is peeled off at the corners, it's because this thing was cheap, and when you start getting the water from water-based paint, it starts curling the edges back along it, and I basically just razor knifed that off so I could get clear readings. I'm not really mad at it. Again, it was cheap, but it was a little thing I did to be able to read it easier. So I'm going to start with probably the thicker end of the spectrum you're going to see in paints. This is Peel Bond from Sherwin-Williams. The technical data sheet on it says you can apply it up to 40 mils wet. So basically, I'm just going to glob this stuff on like somebody might and measure it and see where we are. I'm not even gonna brush it, I'm just gonna goop it on just to get a baseline. So I'm going to start, you see each side has a different range. So I'm gonna start at my best guess, which is 35 to 80. So the way you do this is you place that down and you pick it up. And I was wrong, because check it out, the 35 is clean. So what I would do next, another way to check is, you see how there were the two large end tabs there and no tabs in the middle? That's because they didn't touch. So the next guess would be 14 to 30. And bam. I picked a clear product to demonstrate. That might not be the best, but as you can see, it hits every tab including the 30, which means the truth is somewhere between 30 and 35. And you can also see all of the tabs, and that is a good way to check if you can't really see the paint, whatever color you're using, on the surface. So that is within specs for this, so that would be an acceptable thickness. Next, I'll do something on the other side of the spectrum. Okay, so next we have Sticks, which is an awesome bonding primer that I use regularly for hard to coat situations. And its technical data sheet recommends a range from 4 to 5.5, which is very narrow compared to, say, Peel Bond, which you just saw. So I'm going to be using this end of it, and I will do that. And what do we have? This is one of those scenarios where even if I zoom it on here, I with my eye can barely see if it touched the bottom. So this is a scenario where I'm going to count tabs, and it looks like there are, not including the big tabs on either end, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 touching, which puts us right in that sweet spot where we want it to be, between 4 and 5.5. So that just random brush out I did of Sticks ended up being right on the money. And that often happens. The intuitive brush point of products is often what the manufacturer recommends. It just happens that way, and it's nice. So I'm going to zoom back out and show you how I actually use this and tell you how I actually use this in my day-to-day. And lastly, I just want a quick little note on how I really use this product in my day-to-day. Interior, rarely. Exterior, sometimes. Here's when I use it. If I'm using a new product, like a really thick product, like an Elasto that has a 30, 40 mil ceiling, and I want to put it on thick, I'm testing that. I'm making sure that what I consider to be a thick coating is also the manufacturer's recommendation. I need to know I'm within their bounds. Also, say I'm prepping my sprayer to do a whole house. As I'm calibrating my tip, my pressure, just doing that basic thing that we all do and doing a couple little test sprays with a new product, I'm going to use this to make sure I'm within those specifications. Because people pay a lot of money to have their house painted. I do a lot of prep work, and this is a really easy way to make sure that just everything is within specs and I'm doing the best possible job I can. So that is how I practically use it. New products, not every day, making sure I'm within range, but it's a really easy thing to do compared to the total cost and effort of most big paint jobs. So that is how I use it. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something about this tool today. Please leave questions or comments below in that section, and while you're down there, please like and subscribe. You know I have to say that. And last thing, if you liked this topic, the kind of like nuanced why we do what we do in this trade and how we measure things, I have another video you might like about reading moisture content before painting exterior wood, and that'll be available at a link in that corner, appearing momentarily. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it.